Hi class, here we are again. This is for the Wednesday night class. So let's jump right into it. Let me pull up what I have here, which is our course outline. Now, for this Wednesday, class 5, October 4, no class because I'm out taking my wife on our anniversary. So there's no way that I can be doing a class, including online. So for this Wednesday, we're looking at the needs analysis process, and which we've discussed, obviously, and prepping for the quiz. So that's really the big issue here, right? Because the midterm quiz is the following week, which is Wednesday, October 11, and that is online. It is chapters 1 through 3. Because it's online, it's open book. So have fun because it's open book. And I've taken a look at what the quiz consists of. It has about 10 multiple choice, about 5 true or false, and 5 long answer questions, with each long answer question being about 5 points. So that's what it consists of. Again, about 10 multiple choice, about 5 true or false, and 5 long answer questions. So there's no time limit. I was looking at this, trying to figure out what would be a reasonable amount of time. And I think that I'm just going to give you the whole class to do it, because while true and false obviously doesn't take very long, multiple choice, the norm is 1 or 2 minutes per question. Those aren't the ones that are going to take longer, right? It's going to be those long answer questions. And because there are 5 of them, and because they're each worth about 5 points, I want you to take the necessary time and have the necessary time to go through the book carefully and, do a good job. And so, with 5 long answer questions, that's at least an hour, an hour and a half to be fair, I think. And then if you add the multiple choice and the true or false on top of that, now you're talking 2 hours, a little bit over. So, so I'm going to give you the whole class. And what I'm going to do is I'll just open it up at 6 o'clock. And then as you guys finish, exit. So we do not need to meet. There will be no Zoom class on Wednesday, October 11. So no Zoom class. I'm just going to open up the quiz at 6 o'clock, and then you can start working on it open book and take the necessary time to finish it. So, we normally in our class, we finish at 8:30, take the 2 hours, 2.5 hours to do as good a job as you can. Okay, so that will cover the quiz chapters 1 through 3. All right, let's go to, let me just check this out here. Lesson 5. The needs analysis process. So this is under lesson 5, and I need to give me half a second. I need to see that you can actually see it. Analysis process. Yes, you can. Okay, perfect. So this is not as long as the business ethics uh, video that I recorded, because as you can see, there are only 11 slides for this particular week for the needs analysis process. So we'll jump right into it, and there are no learning objectives stated. It's simply asking you, and by the way, I'm going to move to the next slide because it's got the same questions. I'm not sure who created this, but what are the different types of needs analysis that we discussed? Remember, task, organizational, person. How can we actually determine if training is in fact the solution? Because as we know, and as we've discussed, sometimes training is not the right answer. And if you make the mistake of choosing training as the solution to the question, and it's incorrect, then you waste time and any other resource, including money and other resources, to develop a solution, an incorrect solution to a problem. And what can happen if we don't actually do a complete needs analysis? Well, we've talked about some of the risks involved when you don't do a thorough needs analysis. And a lot of organizations, as discussed, they skip the needs analysis. Why? Usually because of urgency. We have a problem, let's jump right on it. We know what the solution is, so there are biases involved, some assumptions, some ego, etc. We don't need a needs analysis. We know what the problem is. Let's, develop the solution. All right. So, developing a needs analysis. Various methods. We've got interviews. So talk to people, hey, we know you work in this capacity. We understand there's a problem here. What can you tell us about what you've seen? Questionnaires. Used to be paper, now you can do digital. Work samples, tests. How about a focus group or a group discussion? Bring a bunch of people in, have a conversation. We're talking about this particular challenge, right? We're looking for more information. Observation. Let's just watch the people doing the work, take notes, see what they're doing right, see what they're doing wrong, etc. Okay, so let's see what this is. Now, obviously, we're not in class right now, but each group will be assigned 1 or 2 methods, research and prepare a presentation to teach the class about that method. Answer the following questions. Presentation. What's the method? What are some examples? What are advantages and disadvantages? Okay, so we're not going to be doing that right now. And clearly, as I've already indicated, the quiz is going to take up the class on October 11. But when we are back in person on the following Wednesday, which will be October 18, we can come back and review this if we have time. And consider the teach back activity format. Okay, what is the purpose of an activity line? Okay, all right, so this is just a debrief of that. Every member of the group should be involved in the presentation. So let me just take a quick look at the assignments here. And I want to see the assignments tab, group case study, individual, group case study, and the major project. Okay, so I think what they're referring to here in the slides is something that is ungraded, which, as all of you can appreciate, no students particularly enjoy doing activities that are ungraded. But let us move on from this teach back debrief. That is something really should take a look at in class. needs analysis, information sources. So where do you gather your information? So we talked about some of the methods like questionnaires, or surveys, or focus groups, or observation, or tests. Those are some of the methods, but insofar as where you actually obtain your information, well, let's start with the obvious, the employees, right? And it's not all employees. It could be a very select group of employees. Where I used to work, the plant, in other words, where all of the work was being done, from the slaughter of the chickens to the cutting up of the chickens to various pieces, to the packaging of the chickens and the boxing of the product, 99% of all of our problems came from the plant, not the office, right? So whether it was human driven, in other words, the problem was human driven, or whether it was machinery failure, because as I've explained, the machine, much of the machinery is very, very old and worn down. That's where we had our issues. And so in many cases, we would have the supervisors either providing us with the necessary information, or they would talk to their staff who were actually on that particular product line to determine more information about the issue that was arising. And obviously, it's not just employees that we can go to. We can speak to managers. We can go to HR, coaches, support staff. We can speak to our customers. Maybe we're not aware of what the problem is or how the problem is actually being created. In some cases, I'm not talking about the chicken plant, but any company. Sometimes the first point of contact where the company learns there is a problem is from the customer. So they didn't even know there was an internal problem, but a customer comes forward and says, hey, there's a problem with the packaging, there's a problem with this, that, or the other. Ironically, Thursday, so 3 days ago, I knew I was getting closer to my last day of work, and I wanted to buy some chicken from the retail store. And as an employee, I get a discount. So I went in and I asked for 2 different types of product and paid for it. And then I went home because I had the afternoon off. And I opened up the box and realized it was the wrong product. It was not what I had asked for. It was something different. Now, I didn't get upset because it was still frozen chicken and we're still going to use it. But had it not been something we were going to use, then I would have had to have taken it back and I would have had to explain there was an error of miscommunication. I know what I asked for. I was very, very clear on what I asked for, but the gentleman who was operating the till clearly was not listening to what I was saying, and so there was an error between the customer and the company. Another information source could be just raw data, right? Data that the company is collecting, through using my former employer. We had several different pieces of software that we collected data, a lot of productivity data to see how much product was going out per individual. And so, you can take a look at that. And then, of course, you can go to what is known as a SME. SME is a subject matter expert. We didn't have any of those technically by title. We didn't have any of those at the plant, but we did have people who had been working for years and who knew their information in and out. And so they certainly, even though they didn't have the title of subject matter expert, they certainly knew the information and would be considered a subject matter expert. All right, so the major assignment. Now, the major assignment, this is what I believe was listed under the assignments tab, which is the major project. And if I just open this up for half a second here, let this load. Yeah, okay. And this is due December. So let me go back to here. Okay. This assignment will continue throughout the rest of the course. And so whenever we have a class, I will always do my best to ensure that you have time, whether it's online or in person, that you have time to work within groups on this particular major assignment. And it's broken into 3 pieces. Part 1 is the needs analysis. 2 is the training plan. And 3, of course, is the transfer learning. You'll have a chance to get peer feedback from classmates during each part of the assignment, and the final version is due, as I said, it's due in December, I think December 6th, which, by the way, happens to be my birthday, and I'll be turning 52. Anyways, so for this assignment, and I'll go back to the other screen in a second so we can take a look at the instructions, but so you'll be in teams. You use a problem or change that is occurring in your organization. But if you don't have one, first of all, if you're not currently working, or secondly, even if you are working and you don't have a problem or a change in your current organization, you can use one that you have experienced in the past. For each part, you take on the role of a training professional who is tasked with addressing this problem. Class, you give time to share your plan with a peer to share feedback, then you can include that feedback in the final assignment. And for part 1, kind of just ends, it's kind of an odd way to end the slides. Seems like maybe other slides are missing, but anyways, that's what it is. Part 1, you will address how you would conduct a needs analysis to explore the problem, some points to consider, who's involved in this particular issue, problem, or challenge, what kind of analysis is needed, task, person, organization, and why, what methods would you use, and how would you overcome barriers to a needs analysis. And that's it for the slides for this particular week. So we will go back to this. Just make sure that you can see. Just give me a second here. Yes, you can. Okay. Over the major project. I'm just going to open up this Word document here. Go. Give it a second. Here we are, and let me make sure you can see this, and you can't. So it's a good thing I checked. And here we are. Okay. Good. So how long is this? You've got a couple of pages. Okay, so it's broken down. So this is useful. This is good. I'll just close that. Okay. So this particular assignment, broken into the 3 that we know. And we read this, use a problem or change that is occurring in the company. we read this, take on the role of a training professional, 12-point font, Times New Roman, whichever, as long as it's legible. Okay, good. Let's move to part 1. Creating a needs analysis plan to explore the problem. Write this plan as if you were writing it for the benefit of the stakeholder who would decide how to proceed. In other words, pretend that this is a legitimate report that you are providing to your employer. Some questions you can answer in your proposal. What's the problem? What information do you already know? Who are the stakeholders and why should these particular stakeholders be included? What level of analysis do you need to conduct? What methods will you use? What resources will you require? You do not want your proposal to be too long or too short. However, for this part, your response should be between 3 and 6 pages, and write it with your stakeholders in mind. Date of peer review, we'll talk about that further, but have your rough draft ready for this activity on whatever date we decide. Then, part 2, training plan. In this part, this is where you'll be designing a training plan to explore, to address the problem you have identified. Write this portion of the plan as if you were proposing the same idea to a manager or director. And here are some questions you should answer in your proposal. What were the findings of your needs analysis? And certainly, in parentheses, you can see that you can make some assumptions here. What are the desired learning outcomes? And make sure to identify what your training objectives are. What training methods are you going to use for your program? And why are you proposing these particular training methods? This section is going to be 4 to 8 pages in length. And then finally, part 3, and this is the last page, transfer of training. Here's some questions you can answer in your proposal. Who is involved and what responsibilities would they have? What strategies will you use and why would you use these particular methods? And what barriers could you face and how would you overcome these barriers? This section is 5 to 9 pages and same idea. Now, okay, so for all of these, keep in mind that it is not single spaced. It is either double spaced or at minimum 1.5 spacing. So you're not writing 5 to 9 pages of single spaced information, because that would be a lot. So either 1.5 spacing or as I said, double spacing. Now, what I'm trying to figure out right now is for the major project, it is difficult to determine whether this is individual or group. So let me just see here. Major project part 1 needs analysis, fair enough. And if we scroll down in the course outline to the major project, which is worth 20% and is due class 13. Here we are. The major project. This ongoing project will have 3 parts that you will work on as we progress through the different stages of a training project based on a real-life situation. You will discuss how you would plan to execute a project at that stage. At each stage, you will have a chance to share your work with a peer to get advice and feedback. Graded on your plan. Okay, well, so this is an individual project. I thought initially it was going to be group, but by all accounts, everything I read here, this is going to be an individual assignment. So there we go. Now we know. Okay. So, and that is to, as I said, December 6th. The next assignment that you have due is November. Wow. So you definitely have a break there, and that is assignment 3, and that is your individual case study. Okay, so we have taken a look at the slides. Just adjust that. We've taken a look at the slides. We've discussed the midterm quiz, which will be online and open book, and you will have the entire class period to work on that. And then the following week, when we're in person, we'll catch up on anything that that we missed from the previous week. Before I go, I do want to comment on the group assignments on the asthma attack case study, as well as the question and answer. Sorry, the 6 questions that were asked for the other assignment that was provided. And so you will have noticed that grading was very high, and would have been higher than it was in the ethics course, the Monday night course. And I just want to speak to that. So you understand, of course, that I use the rubrics that are built into the courses, and if a rubric is extremely detailed and it talks about, you know, the breakdown of, for example, with the ethics first short lecture paper, it talked about the detail, the summary. It talked about the analysis. The rubric had about 5 or 6 components to it, including grammar and critical thinking, etc. That's an extensive rubric, and there, because it's detailed, there is opportunity to lose marks in various areas. Whereas with this course and the rubric that was used, you know, for example, the rubric simply said, did the student meet the expectations of answering the question? That's kind of it. And therefore, if you responded to the question and you did so and it made sense and I could understand it, and then there was the second question about, you know, provide 3 examples, and you identified 3 examples and those made sense, then I just gave full marks, because the rubric was not extensive. It was very, very straightforward. And so I just wanted to mention that, because I generally don't hand out maximum marks, but when the rubric is designed in such a way, if someone met the expectations of the question, then yay, then you get full marks. So I just wanted to say that everyone did exceptionally well, not only for the individual, but also for the asthma attack case study. So all of the teams did really, really well, and the writing was really strong, and so I was very impressed. Anyways, that concludes this recording for the Wednesday night class. And once again, I hope you're all enjoying the weekend. Enjoy the week with no classes for me on Monday or Wednesday, but at least take the time to watch the recordings. And then, as I said, for the following Wednesday, you'll have the whole class time to work on this particular quiz, open book. And that is all. I look forward to seeing all of you again the next time around. Bye for now.